so it will be the best place to use the system. On your sign-in page, you may have noticed that there is an option that says sign in as admin. The purpose of that is that ReadyNote actually carries two types of licenses. You have your admin licenses and you have your agent licenses. Your agent licenses are the ones you're paying for on that month-to-month basis, and they're the ones with the VoIP permissions and the ability to make calls and live monitor. And then the admin license is simply for background work such as uploading leads, pulling reports, or doing any kind of back-end configurations. So if your responsibility on the dialer is to do anything with the phone or monitoring Teams, just make sure you don't check this off so you have the right permissions and the right license type being utilized. For today, we're just going to go ahead and start signing in with my own credentials. And the first thing we're going to set up is going to be your Teams. Once we're signed in, we're going to look on the left-hand side of our window, and we're going to go to the Manage area. Under Manage, you're going to click the word Users, and you notice there's a couple different types of user profiles in here. You might have openers and closers, or you might just have agents and admins like I do. There's basically two different functions. You have your agents, openers, and closers that are made for cold calling, and then you have your admins for doing all your administrative work. I don't recommend doing any cold calling from an admin profile because it does carry a lot of back-end permissions and you could end up dialing a lead you didn't need to dial. So if you are trying to do any dialing yourself, I do recommend you take the time to create an agent profile for yourself. To create your profile, you'll hit the plus sign beside whatever type of profile you're trying to create. So this top one would allow you to create an additional admin profile, and this bottom one will allow you to create an additional agent. You'll enter the agent's first name and last name into the first category, and it's going to give you their username or their login ID. You can set up multiple at the same time. And then down here is where you provide their password. Once you have these boxes filled out, you'll hit save, and you'll see that those profiles are immediately created. Once they're created, you can double-click the profile to open up the profile settings. On this screen here, you'll be able to edit the name of the agent, edit their username, or reset their password at any time. If you scroll down, these are additional permissions you can grant to a cold caller. Most are not required for cold calling, but the two extra permissions I often grant to users would be play recordings if you want them to be able to listen back to their own calls, or search all profiles if you want them to be able to utilize the search bar at the top using first name or number to look up a lead. You are able to have as many profiles inside of your system as you want. So you can have 10, 20, 30 different profiles. What you'll be paying for on that month-to-month basis is how many people can simultaneously access the system at the same time. So if you're paying for one license, there could be one user actively dialing at a time. If a second user tried to enter the system, they'd get met with a message saying there's not enough licenses. Please wait for the other person to sign out or contact Billy to purchase more. If you as the administrator believe there should be enough licenses for everyone trying to access the system at that time, you can sign in using that sign in as admin we discussed at the beginning of the call. Log onto the system and go under Manage, License Usage to see who's actively using your licenses. If there's anyone who shouldn't be on now, maybe they forgot to sign out, you can sign them out here to release your licenses for somebody else to use. Is there any questions I can answer about creating a user, resetting a password, permissions, or profiles versus licenses?
Yeah, so on my user management looks like a little bit different on my end, so I don't have like the green plus to like add agents on there.
You should. That should never be missing.
Yeah, so it says administrative and then sales telemarketers, and then there's like no like green pluses next to it under user management.
Do you mind if I open your URL on the screen in front of us?
Yeah, that's fine.
Do you mind passing me over your URL?
Yep.
In the meeting chat. Thank you. Great. My guess maybe you're zoomed in or zoomed out because I don't see the reason why it wouldn't appear. Yeah, they're right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like the browser I'm using.
Yeah, maybe. Are you using Google Chrome?
I think I was using Yahoo.
Yeah, maybe try switching to Google Chrome. It might just be the UI is not interacting correctly, but it is there.
Okay.
Alternatively, there is, if you look up, there's a way to do it through your file management. And you can just look creating up a user on the help portal and it'll walk you through that. Any other questions we have regarding creating users, password resets, profiles versus licenses, anything like that?
Yeah, who do we contact to add users to the account?
Pardon me, say that one time?
How would we to add agents?
You can have as many agents as you want, so you can create as many profiles. To add extra licenses, you'll need to contact billing. You can either call them or just email billing@readymode.com and they'll prorate your licenses for you.
Okay, perfect. And do you have that number?
Yeah, I can put it in the chat here. It's also at the bottom of your welcome email. You should have contact information there too.
Perfect, thank you.
Right. Next, we're going to discuss lead upload. So within the system, you upload leads using the campaign manager, and then you're going to tell the system what it needs to dial using the playlist system. So the first portion we're going to talk about is getting the leads into the system. And then next we'll talk about how to tell the system what needs to do with those leads. To upload leads into your system, we're going to go under Manage, Leads, and then Upload Leads in the top right corner. You'll select your CSV document, and you'll be brought to the mapping screen. On this mapping screen, everything on the left-hand side is simply that header row inside of your CSV document. Everything on the right is where you'd want it to appear within Ready Mode. Well, that first name to first name, phone numbers, we typically tell you to use any phone field for anywhere there's a phone number that could be there. Zip to zip code. And if you ever come across a profile field that you don't have in your system and you want to add it, you can use the term new text field and it will create a custom field within the system with whatever the header is. If you don't want to push in some information, just use don't import. The reason we choose to use any phone field instead of matching it directly to phone fields themselves is if the phone field fades, it will fail the lead as a whole. If you map it this way, as long as there's a valid phone number in any 3 of those phone number locations, it will be able to create a lead for you. Once you've mapped out all of your data, you're just going to make sure that there is no special characters in your file name. So you're going to avoid things that look like this. And then for the campaign, the only time you should be adding additional campaigns into your dialer is A, you're selling a new product, so you want to start redialing leads you've already been connected to. Or B, you have an entirely different sales pitch that needs to be associated with these leads, so you don't want a different script to appear. If it doesn't match either of those, always try to put your leads into the same campaign as like leads so the system can do its deduplication and data management processes. Our system will only check within the campaign you upload to see if you're already trying to speak to that lead. Once you've done all of that, you'll hit Done Import Leads, and it's going to push those leads into the system. If it's a large enough file, you'll get a progress bar at the top here, but my file is relatively small, so it's just going to push the file in. While it's importing into the system, it's going to do a few checks for you. It's going to check against your internal DNC list, so anyone you've spoken to and has asked you to add to your DNC list. It's going to scrub out any duplicates anytime the phone number already exists either in that campaign or in that file. It's not going to create an additional lead for you. And then bad phone numbers is anytime there's too many or too few digits and it can't recognize the cell as a valid American phone number. So if there's too many digits or too few. Once the files are uploaded into your system, you can look at them again under leads, campaigns, and then whatever campaign you've pressed them into. There really is only 2 things you should be doing on this page, maybe 3. You can change the campaign name at the top if you don't like the terminology of the campaign one. You can click on the lead file to find out some progress about it, such as the average amount of times those leads have been called. This is also where you'll be able to pull out your progress file or your import result file to find out some more statistics about what's going on. And finally, you can hover over any file to deactivate it to tell the system, I don't want this file used anywhere. You can always activate it again at any point. Any questions on the upload process before we move on to the playlist about telling the system how to dial? Amazing. So now that we've put those leads in the system, we need to tell our system what it needs to do with all of these leads. As an agent, the only responsibility should be to mark that they're ready to go. But if you are also the agent and the person, you'll kind of want to know how to get the system going as well. Under Manage, we're going to click Leads, and then we're going to click General Leads on the left here. This is going to open up our playlist workspace. Second here. I'm just going to show that pathing one more time because it's probably one of the most common pathings that you're going to be doing on your day-to-day usage of Ready Mode. We're going to go under the word Manage. We're going to click the word Leads, and then we're going to click the word General Leads to open up the playlist workspace. With a playlist, it needs to know three main things. What leads is it dialing? How fast should it be dialing these leads? And what agents are responsible for these leads? Starting with the what leads it should dial, if you click on the name of the playlist, it's going to open up the playlist editor. The name at the top here is how you can edit it, just like that campaign screen. If you do have agents below you, this will be displayed to them while it's dialing. It'll say background dialing, all leads. You'll then use these filters to determine what leads you want to dial. Is there a specific state your team needs to hit? Maybe there's a specific city you need. But more often than not, you have a file you need to focus on, or you're just trying to run your entire campaign. You'll drag and drop your desired filter into group 1, and you'll notice that your available leads will update. One of the bigger differences between Ready Mode and other dialers is you're never going to be logging into reset lists. How we're going to handle your leads is we're going to make a dial attempt on the lead. If it's not successful in creating a live connection between your agent and the lead, it'll rest that lead for 4 hours and then automatically reset it to make it dialable again. This means that your leads are going to be called until they connect and say yes, they connect and say no, or you remove them from the playlist by swapping out the filters or deactivating that file on the campaign screen. Any questions about telling the system what leads it needs to dial?
Yes, when I loaded my leads in here, it's not loading the custom fields that I created. And there's one in particular that I wanted to not call. So I'm just wondering if that's possible.
So you're saying there was a custom field that you put add new text field and it didn't come through onto the profile?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you okay with opening your profile in front of me here on the screen?
Yep.
Go ahead and send your URL. And when you said there's no custom field available, like it's not showing on the profile, you're not expecting it to see it here, correct?
Well, the field that I created as a custom field, text field, it just didn't, it's not showing up there.
Well, it wouldn't show up there because those are playlist filters. Those aren't custom fields.
I know, but can you sort by the custom fields too?
No.
Okay. So that probably answers my question.
It's okay.
I'm sorry if you already answered this. If it's calling and it realizes it's a dead number, will it automatically opt out that phone number, or will it keep calling that number over and over again?
We never stop dialing a phone number unless it's marked on the DNC list as do not call. We deprioritize. Our system uses a score-based algorithm. So that number would get called again if you've gotten so far down your list that you're hitting all of them, right? So we never stop dialing a number, we just deprioritize it.
Okay, so a number gets called, but it's a dead number. It doesn't call that number again until
it gets to the very bottom. So if it's marked as like a not in service or as like anything that's deemed that. We never stop calling phone numbers. We just deprioritize them. But we're always been working on the fresh stuff. But if we have to go through your entire inventory of leads, we end up hitting those numbers again. So as long as you're maintaining a fresh round of leads in your system, you'll never hit them again.
Okay, so let's say I finish a campaign. At the end of the campaign, do I see how many phone numbers were? Are you able to know if it's a dead number or not? Is the system able to track that?
If you have signed up for RMIQ, there is a report on the RMIQ. If you have
Okay.
not, you can reach out to our support team and request a list of not in service numbers for a time period, and they can grab that report for you.
Got it. Okay, yeah, I do. Nice.
Any other questions before we move on to telling the rest of the system about how to dial?
No, I mean, I just have a quick question about lead management. I'm trying to do an integration with REI-Sift, and their Loom video shows the back end or shows the interface on ready mode, and maybe it's been updated since, but I see in lead management there's queues and campaigns, but on their version,
You're missing channels. Okay. Just
yeah, exactly.
I'll get that added to your system. You have to request it.
Thank you.
But yes, I can get it added. Do you want to just put your URL in the chat and I'll do it after the call?
Yes.
Does anyone else need live API lead upload? If you do, just add your URL to the chat and I'll make sure you have it. So once we've told the system what leads it needs to dial, the next thing we're going to need to tell is what agents are responsible for it. Using this dropdown, you can pick a specific person if it's just a specific person to do responsible for it, or you can use the user folder. This will tell the system anytime someone who logs in who is in that user folder, this example is the agents, it'll automatically add them to the list to be able to dial those leads. The last step for your playlist is how fast should those leads be dialed. You can pick to dial between 1 to 12 leads per dial attempt per agent, or you can utilize the automatic function. How the automatic will work was we'll start at 3 leads per agent. Once it's made 2 successful connections, it'll take an analysis about how many times it dialed to make those connections, and it will pick a speed for you. It will auto adjust that speed throughout the day, speeding up if it ever goes through 2 dial attempts without getting a connection, and slowing down if it's getting more leads than agents available, because the system is trying to avoid those abandoned calls. I always recommend starting with an automatic just to get a read on how good your data is, and then if you wanted to, you can always review your dialer report under your reports and see what your calls to connect are. I usually set it something slightly below the calls to connect. I'll just show you what this field right here, calls to connect. So this one I'd probably set, this year I'd probably set at 1 because you're already dialing at 2 and getting connections quite often. And this one I'd probably set at 7, 6 or 7, about 60% of your calls to connect is a good number if you're wanting to shift off of the automatic. That's everything you really need to know about getting the system to dial. The next thing we're going to work on is call disposition, so customizing those call results. Do we need to touch on anything else about dialing or uploading before we move over? Perfect. We're going to work on call results. Your call results
I
are
have
going to
a
be...
question real quick.
Of course.
Yeah, here in the campaigns it says this campaign has no eligible outbound phone numbers and will be dialed with an incorrect order ID. What is that?
That means you haven't ordered any phone numbers. I'll show you at the end of near the end of the calls when we talk about how to order DIDs.
Sure.
But yes, that's what that's there for. It's just letting you know you haven't ordered your DIDs yet.
Okay, and I have one question too. For adding campaigns, does it have to be the admin account, or can agents do it on their own accounts as well?
Well, you shouldn't be adding a whole bunch of campaigns. You should really only have a few campaigns in your dialer. But lead upload should be done by the admin account.
So if you called one day and you got through maybe 300, the next day, is it going to start with 301?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Not technically on 301, but it will start on their fresh lead still.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, we're going to move on to call results now. Call results are going to be configured under by account, settings, agent options, edit call results. The normal 6 that are in here are really well configured, and they're typically how people will utilize the dialer. When it comes to the configurations within them, if you click on the button, you need to be able to tell it what the button should be called, so the name that the agents will see, what color the button will be. I normally do not say to lock your buttons to anything because it just makes scaling a little bit more difficult. So if you are locking it, it should be locking because that's the only one that should be using it, not one of many. If all but one need to use it, just leave it on all campaigns. You're going to jump down to call termination. This is going to tell the system when this button is pushed, should it end the call or should it leave the call active? Account follow-up. You can allow agents to put it in their own personal folders, force them to put it in their own personal folders, or say this is not allowed to go in their own personal folders. And then the default rule. This is the main one that's going to tell the system what it should be doing next with this call. We're going to go through each of the rules just so you know what they mean. So when you're setting up your dialer, you'll know how to set it up to do the right actions. If I set it up to don't schedule a callback, this is just going to return it back to the last queue it was in and keep dialing, but add no priority to it. It just means keep dialing, but it's not an important call. You'd usually use this with something like a voicemail, a dead air, anything you're just trying to return it back to the general leads queue. If you hit scrub the lead, you're saying, don't call this lead again unless I upload it to a new campaign. And then this lead will be eligible for dialing again. So you're going to scrub it from that campaign in particular. We go to the next one. Schedule a callback is just what it sounds like. When should I next prioritize to call this back? These ones, anything with a scheduled callback will take precedence over a fresh lead. So if you don't need to add precedence, if it's something like a voicemail or anything like that, we do recommend just doing don't schedule a callback. But if you are trying to add a little bit more, maybe you hit a gatekeeper or hit somebody you want to speak with again, and it's a valid number, add a schedule to callback. It just adds a priority to push it above fresh leads. Add to D&C list, exactly what it sounds like. It's going to add it to your D&C list. You have the option to remove it after a period of time. You'll typically do this with your not interested leads. So you can tell it, hey, I only want it to be on my D&C list for a period of 1 month. After that 1 month, if scrub the lead is not checked, it'll resume dialing from whatever campaign it came from. After that 1 month, if scrub the lead is checked, it can only dial that lead if it's been uploaded to another campaign to dial. The final one is transfer to a queue. This one, a lot of people like it because they like to be able to see the folders. If you like to see and push things into folders, this is what you're going to use. You'll create a queue, and then you can just transfer to that queue. This will basically essentially have the same directions to the dialer as this. It'll tell it, do not call this lead unless I upload it to a new campaign. It's just kind of how you want to use the system. There's no big differences between the two when it comes to actual functionality of what it's telling the dialer to do. To create a lead folder, you would come under shared files, admin files, lead queues, new, and then the new queue is the orange folder in the top. Once you create it, you can name it. And then I typically, if you're just using it as a storage folder, which is essentially the best case for it, just turn it to a non-VoIP queue. Then you don't have to worry about any other settings. Other than that, that's the basics you'll need to know in order to set up a call result. Is there a specific question anyone has about it? Or are we pretty confident with the call results? Because I know it's probably a little more simpler part of our system.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, cut out a little bit when you said it. So if we put schedule a callback, it'll just put them in with all the other leads being called. Is that what you said?
Correct. It'll put it back with, schedule a callback, we'll put it back with the rest of leads being called, but with priority. So it's gonna prioritize calling that lead over a fresh lead.
Okay, fine.
Perfect. Once you're done everything, all your settings, make sure you save. The next thing we're gonna talk about is gonna be your scripts within the system. So you can add a script into the system under settings, agent options, scroll down, and I have a sample script here. You build the script within Ready Mode. You can copy and paste it from places, but you'll just add the script in here. If this script is just for a specific user group or a specific campaign, you can lock it here. And then you can pull any data you want that's in the profile, including your custom fields. So if you've created some custom fields, you can just put brackets around the field name and it will also pull that data into the script. But all you need is parentheses for dynamic scripting. What this does is that when you call, you speak to someone. The script is automatically going to pull that data over. While we're on this screen, all of your buttons you'll have are on the left. All of them are double click to action, or you can single click and then submit the call log. If you double click them, they're going to do the action as we've directed. But the single click will allow you to change ownership if you have the allow ownership to go on, and change the callback time if they need to change the callback time. On the far right, where all of the lead data will be held, you can make any edits to this data, and the edits will save after the disposition is pushed. So the notes and everything will only save. Any actions taken on a profile will only save if a disposition is clicked. If you close it or you shut down your computer, any notes that are on the screen are not auto-saved. Under contact history is where you can enter your notes about the call. If you have the real estate template, you'll have a Zillow tab. If you'd like a Zillow tab, you can always just let me know after this call, and I'll make sure I add one in for you. This one will just simply pull the property on Zillow based on whatever's here. You'll also have a satellite view. If you're on solar, you might have the dual where you have the satellite view and the solar. That is toggleable for anyone. So if you are actually wanting to see some of the solar information, I can show you how to do that in a moment. But this is the same as the Zillow, where it's just going to pull that information and pop it up on Google Maps for you. If you wanted to see the other options you have for this map here, under settings, agent options, you're able to scroll through and pick map view, satellite view, solar and map, or solar and satellite. And this will just give you access to a few more buttons on the leads page. There is a function called TPV in our system. People will commonly use this for transferring calls outside of Ready Mode. What you can do is you can create a TPV hotkey where whoever's using your system can click this button. It'll automatically open up a three-way call with whatever phone number it's hooked up with, and then they can leave the call once it's connected, and it leaves the agent or leaves the lead with whoever they've connected to. To set up a TPV, you'd go under settings, TPV, add new TPV. This screen can get a little bit wonky sometimes. I just hold my scroll button and push it over so I can actually fill in my stuff. But you put the name here. You'd put the phone number here. Making sure that there's no dashes, no spaces, no nothing like that. It has to be 10 straight phone numbers. And then you can select whether when that number is pushed out, whether you're going to use your caller IDs or whether you want to push the customers. Most frequently, you want to push the customer so that if the other person ever loses the call, they could just call them back. Any questions about scripts or transfers before we move on to our last big topic, which is DIDs or phone numbers? Imperfect. So for your phone numbers, they get stored under settings, VoIP for voice over internet protocol, and then phone number / caller ID. Once you're on this page, depending on the package you purchase from your sales associate, you'll either have 30 or 75 phone numbers included in your package. I do recommend you add those as soon as possible so that you can start cleaning them up. To order phone numbers, you'll go under order numbers, enter the area code you'd like to purchase it. It'll take a few moments to go through our inventory of our vendors and provide you with a list of phone numbers. Once you have the one you'd like to do, hit order. And you'll notice the phone number is automatically going to appear in your inventory for use. The only configuration you have to do is you just have to highlight it and forward it to the inbound queue to activate. Once you have all of your phone numbers, depending on how large your list is, you can either just email support and ask for it to be put into a CSV, or if it's a small enough list, just create a CSV yourself of just your phone numbers, so that you can easily register them. If you're not on the RMIQ plan, I do recommend you register your phone numbers at minimum once a week. To register your phone numbers, you will go to freecallerregistry.com. You'll enter your email. You'll send yourself a verification code. This can take up to 90 seconds to get into your inventory, into your inbox. Once you get your verification code, you'll enter it in here. Verify, continue. You'll use your business website. If you don't have one, feel free to use your dialer. You'll choose your why you're calling. Choose your outbound calls. If you're using ready mode regularly, you'll probably be either in this top one, 10 to 50 or 50,000. Most single seats or most single user ones do about 2 to 5,000 on a regular full-time day. And if you're doing a full 20-day cycle, it's around 50,000. We'll continue to the next step. Let me just grab my fake address. I forgot what it was. You'll hit upload the file and you'll upload that file you've created for yourself. And then you'll hit continue to final step, agree, and then submit your registration. Once you kind of get down into a down pat and you have the autofill on, this normally takes about less than 5 minutes to complete, and you should be completing it at least once a week if we're not registering for you.
So if you upload a file, a CSV file, you can do more than 20 numbers?
Yes. So you can do, I think it's up to 300, because I think TNS technically doesn't accept more than 300. So
Okay.
a spreadsheet of 300 or less, you can just upload directly into there, which is a lot
Okay.
faster than putting them in one by one. Other than that, that is all of the setup you need to know and how to do your system. Is there any additional calls since we have a couple minutes left at the end here?
I had a question about leads. So I uploaded a bunch of leads and I realized that I probably should have broke those out by the type a little better. So I need to delete out the leads that I have in there, which I know how to do.
Mhm.
But can you have several different lead lists and decide which list to call with each campaign?
Yeah, so you put them all into the campaign, and then if you remember that pathing we showed you earlier, we went to leads, general leads. You're not dialing by campaign. You can tell it, I want to dial the file. Right?
Okay.
So whatever you want to dial, you just tell the playlist. It's always best to keep minimal campaigns, just because it does make your user experience a little better.
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Mark, I believe I saw you had a question next.
Yes, I do. So this is my first time using Ready Mode without paying cold callers to do it. So we ordered the Ready Mode IQ, and I believe it's 75 numbers included with that monthly fee. And first question is, so I just ordered 10 out of one of the target markets. I'm probably not going to need more than that per market. But it's saying here that there's going to be an additional charge with every number. Is that
during the order, there's no extra charge unless you go over. Sometimes the UI doesn't get updated, but your bill will be correct.
Okay, second question. My main market, it's not saying that there's any phone numbers available for it. It's a really large metro area.
It could be that it is a old area code. I know a lot of the ones that were made in the 40s don't have a high inventory, and it gets a little harder to get those ones. So you might have to find the overlay that the telecompany put over top of that one.
Okay. Well, first off, I don't even know what that means. So
Okay, no problem.
But it would be great to be able to get the area because it's like this most common one in the area, and I definitely would like to appeal to local sellers.
Then I can see what's going on as much as I can. What's the area code?
210. It's San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah, so that's one of their older ones. We have carried very minimal inventory. I think the most we've carried is four from our stock. It is recommending that you order either 512, which is Austin.
Okay.
Do you have any San Antonios? Uh, 726 is the one that the carriers have put as an overlay.
Got it. Okay. 726 would probably be better.
Yes, because that's still the San Antonio. That's the one they released in 2017 because there was no 210s pretty much left in the market.
Gotcha. Okay. And then my last question would be, I believe with the IQ that we purchased, will you guys do the registering of the numbers? And if so, what's the process for that? What do we need to do?
You just need to order your phone numbers. As long as you're on the RMIQ, it will get submitted in the first 24 hours the phone number is purchased, and then we submit every Monday through our professional channels, and then we have a team internally that submits through like free caller registry and stuff like that throughout the week for you as well.
Okay.
So you don't need to do anything but order your numbers in the correct area and make sure that you're not going over 75 calls per phone number. So if you're expecting to make, 5,000 calls in a day, you would want to do about 66 phone numbers. Just for math, just to give you a good idea of how the math should work. So if you see you're making 5,000 calls, that's the kind of inventory you need. And that's pretty much all we're expecting is that you're not harassing your leads and that you're not over dialing with your phone numbers.
No, that's definitely not going to be the case for sure. And then I guess my real last question would be based off of what I just heard. So I'm ordering these now.
Mhm.
When will I be able to use these to begin calling the data?
You can be using them at any point.
Can I use them today?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's just the longer they've had to register, the just cleaner they'll be, right? Because everything takes time. Because they get submitted, right? They get scanned. Once we get that scan back, telling us which ones have been marked, we'll send those to the carriers. We'll get them cleaned up. Nothing's ever a guarantee. We just continuously submit for you. So the best action is always to have good dialing habits, and we can do the best from there. I do suggest you reach out because I don't cover a lot of RMIQ stuff in this session, and the reason is because technically it should not be sold to small groups, but I have seen a couple come through in the last little while. So if you do need more training on RMIQ, I'd suggest you reach out to your account manager, whoever sold you the ready mode, and they'll get you in touch with somebody.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. I believe Nick was next. Or was it Jason? Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. So two questions. Is there a need to season the phone numbers? As far as I know, we've been told to like dial known phone numbers for 10, 15, 30 minutes. Is that valid?
It never harms. It's not that you want to call known phone numbers. It's just you want to warm up your phone numbers and have a consistent usage of them. So you don't want to go from like not dialing your phone numbers from one day and then dialing with the same phone number 1,000 times. That's really bad habits to the carriers, and they usually don't like that. So warming up your numbers is always a good plan, but it wouldn't be 20, 30 minutes. It would just make sure that you dial the same amount today as you would tomorrow, as you would, or slowly increase, not go from nothing to everything.
And then is there a way to push updates to go high level, or would that be that live API?
You can. You would contact our integrations team. There should be their contact information on the bottom. They'll give it to you. I believe with Go High Level, though, you'll need a Zapier account. It needs an intermediary.
Yep. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Jason?
Yeah, so I just added 2 agents onto our account here. I remember you showing us how to distribute unused users or inactive users or whatever, but I wasn't sure if someone said something. But how long do I have to wait after the invoice is paid before those users can use the account as well?
Immediately.
Immediately? Okay,
If you paid your invoice, you're able to dial.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem. Creed?
Yeah, because you mentioned if there's anyone that need the Zillow tab, just ask for it. So just ask them for it.
Perfect. Do you want to put your URL and just put the word Zillow beside it so I know why I'm doing that one? Then I could do the channels and the Zillow for everyone who needs it.
Of course.
Perfect. Any other questions that I can answer before I let everyone go? Okay, awesome. I will give you kind of instructions about other places you can check for information. While you're on the system, you can always hit chat support and you can type in your questions to the chat support. If it's something that needs to be escalated, you are able to escalate through the chat support to our technical support team. If you're just looking for quick information about videos, if you go to our home screen on our help portal, we have this getting started area. This checklist has a list of 10 videos that go through different parts of the system that I did cover today, just kind of in little smaller sections such as, hey, I don't quite remember everything about a playlist, let me go look how to do a playlist, things like that, how to order your phone numbers again, all of those will be listed here. And then for yourself and your agents, the Academy is a really great option. This one carries about 40 minutes and it'll walk you through how to get your headset hooked up, how to answer a call, how to disposition a call, how to transfer the calls, how to enter your notes, how to handle your callback. So when you use the callback feature, it's putting it back in your system, things like that. And then the quick start admin will basically just recover everything that's on this page here or this page here. And then the final little place I'm going to direct you to is on our help portal. We have an awesome little video that was made by Lara about our reports. And these are the three major reports you'll be wanting to use as an administrator on your system. The call logs to check out the disposition calls, the dialer report to see how the dialer is dealing with everything, and the agent report to see kind of how the agent functionality is doing if you're not the agent yourself. She has a little 50-minute webinar that goes through each of those reports and tells you what you should be looking for on those. It was a pleasure meeting with everyone here. I'll make sure that the people who need the Zillow will have the Zillow. The people who need the channels, I'll get those added. You should see them within the next 20 to 30 minutes. Other than that, does anyone else have any questions before I close the session? Beautiful. Pleasure meeting all of you.